All right, let's dive in. Today's deep dive is for you. We're tackling relationship literacy at HBCUs, and we're really excited to unpack this. We're going to be pulling directly from excerpts of the Relationship Literacy Manual for Historic Black Colleges and Universities. And let me tell you, this text, it's really got some insightful stuff in it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this manual, it really offers this unique perspective on how relationships are built and nurtured, especially within the HBCU community. And it really zeroes in on like the impact of African American cultural values, which is so important, you know?
Yeah. And, something that really grabbed my attention was how the manual kind of connects personal identity with African American history. It's not just about like knowing dates and names and all that, but it's about understanding how those experiences like slavery and the civil rights movement, those really can shape how people view themselves and how they go about building relationships today.
Right. And it's really fascinating how the manual, it brings up like this concept of resilience.
Yeah.
In the face of all this historical trauma. And it explains how enslaved African Americans, they used music. They used spirituality, they used communal bonds to preserve their heritage and to resist oppression. And these acts, I mean, they weren't just about survival. They were about maintaining a sense of self and community in like the absolute hardest of circumstances.
Yeah, and there's this really powerful quote from the manual that really stayed with me. It says, enslaved African Americans preserved their cultural heritage through oral traditions, music, spirituality, and communal bonds. These acts of resistance maintained a sense of self and community in the most adverse conditions.
Wow. And that resilience, you can see it even today in how HBCU students, how they navigate all the challenges that they face, how they support each other and how they maintain these really strong community ties. And it's just so inspiring to see how these historical experiences, have really shaped the values and the relationships within HBCUs.
Oh, for sure. It really makes you think about relationship dynamics in a whole new light. I mean, they even talk about fictive kin in the manual, which is really interesting. It's basically like expanding your support network beyond just your blood relatives.
Exactly. Think about it. Like the aunties and the uncles at church who aren't technically related by blood, but they still play like this vital role in a student's life. They offer advice, they offer support, and they give you the sense of belonging. And this concept of chosen family, it's so deeply rooted in African American culture, and it really flourishes at HBCUs.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see how this manual it goes so much deeper than just like textbook knowledge. It really gives you this real world look into the unique dynamics of the HBCU experience. And hold on, it doesn't even stop there. It also dives into these practical relationship skills like communication and conflict resolution.
Oh, absolutely. The manual, it really stresses that honesty and empathy. I mean, those are just essential for building trust. You can have all the communication techniques in the world, but if you don't have that foundation of trust, those relationships, they're going to crumble.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've always wondered about this whole professional etiquette thing, especially for HBCU graduates, entering these diverse work environments. Does the manual, does it actually offer any specific advice about that?
Yeah, it does. The manual, it emphasizes that HBCUs, I mean, they really excel at preparing students for success in all sorts of different professional settings. It goes beyond like just the hard skills, and it dives into things like understanding like different workplace cultures and networking effectively.
Right.
And it even gets into things like navigating sensitive conversations about race and identity.
Okay, so it's about being prepared for the real world, where things aren't always so black and white. That makes sense. But it really caught me off guard. It was the chapter on sports and homecoming. It just seemed like such a random topic to include in a relationship literacy manual. I mean, what's the connection?
I know it might seem surprising at first, but the manual, it actually connects these events to relationship building. Like, it argues that sports, beyond just the obvious teamwork aspect, they instill these valuable lessons about leadership and dealing with setbacks, and even fostering school spirit, believe it or not.
So it's about more than just winning the game. It's about building character and community.
Exactly. And homecoming, it's so much more than just a big party. The manual, it highlights how it strengthens alumni connections, and it actually boosts fundraising efforts for HBCUs.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. It's about bringing people together and fostering this sense of belonging, and that extends beyond graduation.
Yeah, precisely. And that actually brings us to another really interesting section. Fraternities and sororities. I mean, we all have our perceptions about Greek life, but the manual, it goes beyond the stereotypes.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear how the manual addresses that.
Well, it emphasizes that at HBCUs, fraternities and sororities, I mean, they're really deeply intertwined with the values of the institution. The bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood. Those are strong, but there's also a real focus on community service, and developing ethical leadership skills.
So what exactly does ethical leadership entail in this context?
Well, it's about leading with integrity and serving others and upholding, the values of the organization and the community as a whole. HBCU Greek organizations, they often have this really, really strong focus on social justice and community upliftment.
So it's not just about social status or networking. It's about using your influence to make a positive impact. That's a really powerful message.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle that we'll be exploring in this section, which is navigating the digital world. The manual actually dedicates an entire chapter to technology and relationships, because it recognizes, that this is such a major aspect of modern life.
Yeah, it definitely is. So how does the manual tackle this new frontier of relationships?
Well, it acknowledges that the digital communication can be a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it allows us to connect with people across huge distances, and it lets us maintain relationships in ways that were never possible before. But on the other hand, it can also create barriers to genuine connection if we're not careful about it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's like this feeling of being constantly connected, but not really connecting, like I'm scrolling through social media all day long, but am I really having these meaningful conversations? I don't know.
Right. And the manual addresses this. It encourages HBCU students to be mindful of how they use technology. It's not about, demonizing technology altogether, but it's about using it in a way that supports your relationships rather than detracting from them.
So setting boundaries and being intentional about your digital interactions, that makes a lot of sense. But what about social media? It just seems like such a minefield when it comes to authenticity and maintaining genuine connections. How do you even navigate that?
Yeah, you're right. Social media, it presents these unique challenges, and the manual really dives into like the ethical implications of it. It highlights both the potential for harm and the potential for good. It really encourages students to be mindful of the content that they share, and to think about like the impact of their words and images on other people.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget, that our online actions, they have these real world consequences.
Exactly. The manual reminds us that even though we're interacting through these screens, we're still engaging with real people, with real feelings, and it's so crucial to approach our online interactions with the same level of respect and consideration that we would give offline.
So it's about bringing those core values of honesty and empathy and respect into the digital space.
Absolutely. And the manual, it reminds students that they have this responsibility to use social media in a way that promotes positive change, and it encourages them to engage in respectful dialogue and to amplify diverse voices, and to use their platform to support causes that they really care about.
That's a powerful message. It's about using social media as a tool for connection and positive impact rather than just just for self-promotion or negativity.
Exactly. And it also highlights the importance of maintaining authenticity online. You know, it can be so tempting to get caught up in this curated perfection that we see all over social media. But the manual, it encourages students to resist that pressure.
Yeah.
You know, to just share their authentic selves.
Yeah, but that can be really, really challenging, especially when it feels like everyone else is presenting this perfect image. How does the manual, how does it address that pressure to be perfect online?
Well, it reminds students that it's okay to be vulnerable, you know, to share their struggles as well as their triumphs. You know, real connection. It comes from being genuine, both online and offline. And it encourages them to focus on building relationships with people who appreciate them for who they truly are, not just for the polished version they present on social media.
Yeah, that's such an important reminder. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we're not good enough. But the manual, it reminds us that true connection comes from being real, you know, flaws and all.
And it offers some practical strategies for maintaining that authenticity online. You know, like being mindful of the content you share and engaging in meaningful conversations and setting boundaries to protect your time, your energy. It also encourages students to be, you know, selective about who they follow and who they interact with online. You know, choosing to connect with people who uplift them and inspire them.
So it's about curating your online experience to create a space that supports your well-being and fosters that genuine connection.
Exactly. And the manual, it reminds HBCU students that they're not alone in navigating these challenges. You know, it encourages them to seek out mentors and to connect with supportive communities and to utilize the resources that are available to them on campus to build healthy digital habits and to navigate the complexities of online relationships.
This manual, it's like a roadmap for navigating the digital age with intention and integrity. It's really impressive how it addresses the nuances of technology and relationships without shying away from the complexities.
You know, it's a valuable resource for anyone who wants to build those stronger, more meaningful relationships in our increasingly digital world.
I think that's a great point. This deep dive, it's been so eye-opening, and I really encourage you to explore the relationship literacy manual for historic Black colleges and universities further. I mean, it's packed with insights and practical advice that can really help you build those stronger, more authentic relationships in all areas of your life.
And remember, you know, building those fulfilling relationships, it's an ongoing journey. You know, it takes effort, it takes intention, and it takes a willingness to be open and vulnerable. But as we've seen, you know, the rewards are so worth it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of exploring relationship literacy at HBCUs. We hope you found it as insightful and as empowering as we did. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Welcome back. We've been exploring this relationship literacy manual for historic Black colleges and universities, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how it connects history and cultural values and even things like sports and Greek life, you know, to building stronger relationships. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it really has been fascinating to kind of unpack those connections, and now we're moving into a section that's just packed with practical advice.
Okay, I'm ready to get down to brass tacks.
Wow.
What kind of practical skills does the manual focus on here?
Well, so chapter 2, it really dives into like the nitty-gritty of building and maintaining these healthy relationships. You know, it covers things like communication and conflict resolution, you know, all those essential skills that we sometimes take for granted. Yeah, it almost sounds like a master class in communication. I'm kind of curious to hear what kind of specific advice it offers.
So the manual, it kind of breaks down communication into two key elements. First, it emphasizes expressing yourself clearly and effectively, but then it also stresses the importance of of really listening to what the other person is trying to communicate and making sure you understand them.
I remember a time when I thought I was a great listener, but I was really just waiting for my turn to talk. It really takes practice to become a truly active listener.
You're so right. And the manual, it highlights the importance of paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
It encourages you to ask clarifying questions to make sure that you're not just hearing the words, but you're really understanding the message behind them.
Okay, so communication is key, but what about when things get a little heated? Conflict it's inevitable in any relationship, right?
Absolutely. And the manual doesn't shy away from that. It provides some really solid strategies for resolving conflict in a way that's respectful and productive.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about approaching it with the right mindset and the right tools.
Exactly. It emphasizes that conflict, it doesn't have to be destructive. If you approach it with honesty and empathy, it can actually be an opportunity to strengthen your relationships.
Okay, I like that. So what are some of the specific techniques the manual recommends for resolving conflict?
Well, one of the key strategies is finding common ground. Even in a heated disagreement, there's usually some area where you and the other person you can agree. Right?
Yeah.
And starting from that point of agreement, it can help de-escalate the situation and open the door for compromise.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's like finding that little bit of shared understanding to build upon.
Exactly. It's about shifting the focus from winning the argument to finding a solution that works for everyone involved. And the manual, it also stresses the importance of using I statements to express your feelings without placing blame.
So instead of saying, you always do this, you would say something like, I feel frustrated when this happens.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift in language, but it can make a huge difference in how your message is received. It helps prevent defensiveness, and it keeps the conversation focused on finding that solution.
Yeah, I mean, these are great tips for anyone really, but I can see how they would be especially relevant for HBCU students, who are navigating this diverse range of relationships and potentially encountering conflict related to issues of race, identity, or culture.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the manual's, emphasis on empathy becomes so crucial. It's about putting yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to understand their experiences and their perspectives, even if you don't agree with them.
That kind of reminds me of the communalism and the respect for elders that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Those values which are so prevalent in HBCU culture, they can really, really foster that sense of empathy and understanding.
Yeah. Those values, they create an environment where people feel safe to share their perspectives and their experiences, knowing that they'll be heard and respected.
So we've covered communication and conflict resolution, which are both essential for building those healthy relationships. But what about those times when we need a little extra support? What does the manual say about building strong support systems?
Well, the manual, it really stresses the importance of nurturing those close relationships with family and friends. They're the ones who provide that essential emotional support, the practical support, and sometimes even the moral support that we all need.
Yeah, it's like having your own personal cheer squad, rooting for you through thick and thin.
Exactly. And remember the concept of fictive kin that we discussed earlier. The manual encourages HBCU students to actively cultivate those supportive relationships, both within their immediate circle and in the wider HBCU community.
So it's about intentionally building a network of people who can offer support and guidance.
Yes, and the manual, it highlights the unique strengths of HBCUs in this area. Think about like those tight-knit alumni networks and the faculty who are so invested in their student success.
Yeah, it's like having a built-in support system that extends far far beyond the classroom.
Right. And the manual, it encourages students to really take advantage of this network. It emphasizes the importance of seeking out mentors and building relationships with people who can offer guidance and encouragement.
So building a strong support system, it's not just about having lots of friends. It's about nurturing those relationships and seeking out people who can offer specific types of support. That's really insightful.
It is, and that actually leads us to the next chapter, which focuses on professional relationships. This is where all those skills we've been talking about, the communication, the conflict resolution, the building support systems, this is where they really come into play in a professional setting.
Okay, so it's not just about getting the degree, it's about building those relationships and navigating the professional world effectively. So what are some of the specific things that the manual that it highlights in this area?
One thing it emphasizes is that HBCUs, they do an excellent job of preparing students for success in diverse professional settings.
What do you mean by diverse professional settings?
Well, it means being able to thrive in work environments that might have different cultural norms, or different communication styles, or even different unspoken rules. And HBCUs really prepare students to navigate all of those complexities with confidence.
So it's about more than just having the right skills on your resume. It's about being able to adapt to different work cultures and build relationships with people from all walks of life.
That's right. And the manual emphasizes the importance of understanding and adapting to those different work cultures and communicating effectively and building relationships across differences.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not about fitting in. It's about bringing your whole self to the professional world and being able to connect with people authentically.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that diversity is a strength, and HBCUs, they do a fantastic job of preparing students to navigate and to celebrate those differences.
This manual, it's like a gold mine of practical advice. It's been so eye-opening to see how all these seemingly different aspects of life, from history and cultural values to professional etiquette and social media, how they're all connected under this umbrella of relationship literacy.
Yeah, it is fascinating to see how those connections unfold. And you know what? We're not done yet. There's one more area we need to explore, how HBCUs are tackling the challenges and opportunities of technology and relationships. We'll dive into that fascinating topic in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Relationship Literacy Manual for Historic Black Colleges and Universities. We've covered so much already, from the historical roots of relationships to those practical skills for building those strong connections. But now it's time to kind of step into the digital age. I'm really excited to explore how this manual tackles the whole intersection of technology and relationships.
Yeah, the manual, it dedicates a whole chapter to this, recognizing that technology, it just plays this huge role in how we connect with each other today.
Yeah.
And it acknowledges those unique challenges and opportunities that kind of come with navigating relationships in this digital world.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all ears. What are some of the key points that the manual it raises about technology and relationships?
Well, it starts by pointing out that digital communication, it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it lets us connect with people across vast distances, and it lets us maintain relationships in ways that we couldn't have even imagined just a few decades ago. Yeah. But then on the other hand, it can also create barriers to genuine connection if we're not careful.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that tension myself. Sometimes it feels like I'm constantly connected online, but not really connecting on that deeper level. It's like I'm just scrolling and liking, but not really engaging in those meaningful conversations.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. The manual, it addresses this directly. it encourages HBCU students to be really mindful of how they're using technology. It's not about, like demonizing technology altogether, but it's about being intentional and setting those boundaries to protect your time and your energy.
So it's about using technology as a tool to enhance our relationships rather than letting it kind of control us, right?
Exactly. The manual, it encourages students to really think critically about their digital habits, like ask yourself, how much time am I spending online? Is this adding value to my life and to my relationships? Am I using it to connect with people in those meaningful ways?
Those are some great questions to consider. It's so easy to get caught up in that constant stream of information and notifications. But what about social media specifically? I mean, it just seems like such a challenging area when it comes to authenticity and building those genuine connections.
Yeah, social media, it presents this whole set of challenges, and the manual really delves into the ethical implications, highlighting both the potential for harm and the potential for good.
I'm curious to hear more about that. What kind of ethical considerations does the manual does it raise?
Well, it encourages students to think about the content that they're sharing, the impact of their words and their images on other people, and the importance of avoiding spreading misinformation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's easy to forget that our online actions, they have real world consequences.
Exactly. The manual, it reminds us that even though we're interacting through these screens, we're still engaging with real people, with real feelings, and it's just crucial to approach those online interactions with that same level of respect and consideration that we would give offline.
So it's about bringing those core values, like the honesty and the empathy and the respect, into the digital space, right?
Absolutely. And the manual, it reminds students that they have this responsibility to use social media in a way that promotes positive change. It encourages them to engage in respectful dialogue and to amplify diverse voices and to use their platform to support, causes that they really care about.
That's a powerful message. It's about using social media as a tool for connection and positive impact rather than just for self-promotion or negativity.
Exactly. And it also highlights the importance of maintaining authenticity online. It can be so tempting to get caught up in this curated perfection that we see all over social media. But the manual, it encourages students to resist that pressure and just share their authentic selves.
Yeah, but that can be really challenging, especially when it feels like everybody else is presenting this flawless image of themselves. How does the manual, how does it address that pressure to be perfect online?
Well, it reminds students that it's okay to be vulnerable, to share their struggles as well as their triumphs. Real connection, it comes from being genuine, both online and offline. And it encourages them to focus on building relationships with people who appreciate them for who they truly are, not just for that polished version that they present on social media.
That's such an important reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we're not good enough. But the manual, it reminds us that true connection, it comes from being real, flaws and all.
And it even offers some practical strategies for maintaining that authenticity online, like being mindful of the content that you're sharing and engaging in those meaningful conversations and setting those boundaries to protect your time and energy. It also encourages students to be selective about who they follow and who they interact with online, choosing to connect with people who uplift them and inspire them.
So it's about curating your online experience to create a space that supports your well-being and fosters that genuine connection.
That's right. And the manual, it reminds HBCU students that they're not alone in navigating all of these challenges. It encourages them to seek out mentors and connect with supportive communities and to utilize the resources that are available to them on campus to build those healthy digital habits and to navigate the complexities of online relationships.
This manual, it's like a roadmap for navigating the digital age with intention and integrity. It's really impressive how it addresses all the nuances of technology and relationships without shying away from the complexities.
Yeah. It's a valuable resource for anybody who wants to build those stronger, more meaningful relationships in our increasingly digital world.
I think that's a great place to wrap things up. This deep dive it's been so eye-opening, and I really encourage all of you out there to explore the relationship literacy manual for historic Black colleges and universities further. I mean, it's packed with insights and practical advice that can really help you build those stronger, more authentic relationships in all areas of your life.
And remember, building those fulfilling relationships, it's an ongoing journey. It takes effort and intention and a willingness to be open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, the rewards are so worth it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of exploring relationship literacy at HBCUs. We hope you found it as insightful and as empowering as we did. Until next time, keep diving deep.